Okay, good morning, friends. Welcome to Journey Home Meditation's Morning Sit. This morning we're going to come together for a little shared breathing practice. We'll talk about some things. And I've got a couple poems today I'm hoping to get to. We'll see how that goes. But I am Michael, and I'm very happy to be here this morning. I am hopeful that this microphone is actually picking up and feeding into the proper stream source. We'll see. If not, that's okay. This practice is still the practice, and I feel very grateful this last couple of weeks, especially for this practice. So before we begin even with the breaths this morning, I just want to take a moment to recognize that we are here today with this ability to move this body, even if it's just a little bit today. We are here today with the ability to feel the cool air on our skin or the warm sun on our face. We are here today with the ability to experience the taste of the clouds over Laos or Sri Lanka as we sip our tea made from the sun and the earth and the rain. Traveled all around the world to come here for this moment, and I just want to recognize showing up for all of this is the practice. And I want to honor those who open this pathway, and I want to honor all of those who are moving back into the earth with their body and moving back into the clouds with their spirit. And as they shift the way the clouds shift, I see their shape. And I see their shape. And I love it. So thank you. So to begin with, before we move on to anything else, let's sit with our breath just for a few moments. Taking this time to recognize why it is I'm choosing to enter into this practice, what it is I'm here hoping for, and what it is I'm here to let go of. As we simply come together. This is simply a coming together, nothing less. So breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly, I give thanks. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. And finally, I am being breathed. I am letting go. When we enter into that level or any level of communion and connection with our bodies, there sometimes is the place that you just have to honor those few extra moments. Our bodies carry so much every day. Our feet carry us through our days. Our hands carry the things that we need to carry. Our backs shoulder the weight. So to have a few moments to spend with yourself in this loving way is to show up in gratitude and to say, I recognize why you're tired sometimes. I recognize why sometimes you are irritable. I recognize why sometimes you make the silliest of mistakes. I understand why it is you can't sleep some nights and why you can't wake up some mornings. I understand why some days it feels like you could eat the world, and other days you just need to sit. Because this body that is the vehicle of my soul, and the soul that is the vehicle of spirit, it's doing a lot every day. So taking those breaths is saying, thank you, I forgive you, and I love you. Thank you. I forgive you, and I love you. And maybe not in that order. Who knows what order it's going to come today, but I am in love with this experience today. I think this is why we say that it's falling in love, because there has to be a surrender. And when I can surrender to myself, when I can surrender to allowing myself to love myself, it's like trust. It's like falling. It's like not knowing how it's going to land, but enjoying that trip. And there's definitely moments, sometimes more often than not that I'm taken out of that relationship. I'm taken out of that relationship of falling, and it's more like I'm trying to fly. I'm trying to flap my arms and not feeling like I'm getting off the ground. There are days like that. But maybe we're not supposed to fly. We're bipeds, most of us. And maybe we're supposed to have our bodies on the ground. I was reminded of that by a poem. I'm going to read a few poems today because I'm not going to be here tomorrow to read poems. And I like poems. I like poems a lot. I may have mentioned this already, but I was asked in discussion with a couple of lovely people while waiting for the poet Padraig Otuma to join the room on stage and mesmerize us with his naked love. We were talking about literature, and I had traveled quite a distance that day. Particularly, I had started my morning off in Phoenix, Arizona, and flew to Portland, and then took the Amtrak from Portland to Seattle, and then took a rented battery-powered scooter from the Amtrak station all the way across Seattle to St. Mark's Episcopal Cathedral. It was quite a journey. It was a hero's journey. and it was all in service of getting to this poetry reading. And they were saying, wow, that's an awful lot to do for poetry. Is literature your career? Is this what you do? And I said, oh, no, my career is love and forgiveness, but poetry is just a really easy place to find those things. And we all laughed, but it was serious for me. Like poetry is the place that I've been able to most easily access love and forgiveness regularly. And sometimes it comes in the form of humor. And, as far as humorous poets go, I don't know if there's anyone with more of a sense of humor that is the cosmology basis of their poetry than Hafiz. Hafiz, this is from the book The Gift. I'll show that there. Poems by Hafiz. It says, the great Sufi master. So Hafiz is dangerously familiar with God in their writings. They refer to God and themselves and everything kind of interchangeably, and the beloved writes these wonderful romantic love poems to God, but also talks about God as a drinking buddy and says, getting drunk with my friend. And when Hafiz is talking about the friend, he's talking about God. And when he's talking about getting drunk, he's talking about love. He's talking about falling in love, imbibing in the richness of the elixir of love. And but he also talks about, Saul Williams, one of my favorite poets, an amazing poet, an amazing person, modern poets, once said to us that Hafiz talks about like he has God in a headlock, and he's given God a noogie. And that level of familiarity, that recognition of the oneness with it, and the rightful place, our rightful place with that love, is quite funny sometimes. And this poem, it put me in a place of thinking about just recognizing when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. Part of the path of Dharma is to understand what the Dharma is, what the way is. And in doing that, we understand what it's not. Sometimes we have to understand what it's not to understand what it might be. In the Eightfold Path, there's all these recitations of the right. There's right thought, there's right action, all these things that are right. And there's curiosity around that because, in the Christian faith that I grew up in, there was more focus on the 10 Commandments than there was on the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount was directions for how to live, and the 10 Commandments are absolutely directions how to not live. Don't do this, don't do that. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. So discovering other teachings that come from a different perspective, things like the Eightfold Path are saying this is the right way. And it's not offering punishment other than understanding that when we're not on the right path, our Dharma, then we suffer more. And the suffering is the signpost on the path. The suffering says, hey, turn right here, turn left here, gentle curve ahead. And when we are able to listen to that suffering, we can be redirected and re-guided. And I think that there's something in this Sufi master here that has a bit of understanding of that same concept, thousands of miles and hundreds of years away in the teachings. But this poem is called Damn Thirsty. First, the fish needs to say, something ain't right about this camel ride, and I'm feeling so damn thirsty. It's silly, it's fun, but it's a clear way into understanding, like, the fish needs to recognize that it's not supposed to be on the camel. And that may be why they're suffering and why they're so thirsty, because they're not in their home place. And I think about that in myself. When am I willing to recognize, I don't think this camel ride is the one for me. I don't think flapping my wings and trying to fly is exactly the path forward for me. I'm going to continue to feel like a failure if I continue to try to do the thing that I'm not meant to do. And I look at our lives and how many of us struggle with imposter syndrome or self-doubt or feelings of intense loneliness. And I wonder when we're going to recognize first that something ain't right about this camel ride. And I think that most of us recognize that quite early on. And there's no lack of correlation between that understanding that something ain't right here and our proclivity for substance use or promiscuity or and there's nothing wrong with substance use or promiscuity at all. But when we understand that what we might be doing is taking that understanding that our heart is not being fed, we are damn thirsty, and we're trying to get there through the mind, that maybe we are on that wrong path, and the right path might better be to come through that heart into that mind. That the heart is going to feed our identity, our consciousness, our understanding. If we can feed the heart will take care of the rest. But when we try that other way, flapping our arms and cursing that we can't fly, well, suffering. Yeah. And I like that these poems were written, I have to do math now, 1,700 years ago? Is that right? It must be. No, 700 years ago. 700 years ago. Math in the morning. So one more Hafiz that goes right along with the camel ride, as there's a little bit of advice that Hafiz gives here. And he says, find a better job. Now that all your worry has proved such an unlucrative business, why not find a better job? It's simple. It's simple. Hafiz he's got these poems in here though that are so rich and so deep and so just luxurious in their language and in their flow, and then sometimes he just has these simple little quips. You know, a clever drunken old man. But it is that simple. When we get to a place in our lives where we can recognize that this ain't the camel ride for us and that we are so damn thirsty, we can understand that all we have been doing to feed this momentum may actually not be taking us where we need to go. And our identity gets in the way of that all of the time. We get stuck in the way something appears, what it looks like. Is it spiritual enough? Am I being spiritual enough? Let's talk about only spiritual things. This is spiritual and this is not. You see, this over here, this is the spiritual section, and this over here, this is doing the dishes. This over here is the spiritual section, and this over here is talking politics. Over here, I'm going to talk about my spiritual stuff, and over here, I'm going to bitch and complain and gossip about the people that I work with, or that I go to school with, or that I see at the store. But these aren't the same things, right? We have these compartmentalized identities that we're trying to hold on to desperately. What if your gossip was your spiritual practice? What if we recognize that the reason we're not necessarily finding that deep connection of our spiritual identity and our physical identity, our material identity, our psychological identity, we're not finding the connection because we're not seeing that the things we are doing are just not that lucrative. They're not enriching those connections. And when you really understand this urge to live a spiritual life, it has to first, I think, come with an understanding that you always have. You always are and you always will. There's not a moment where the awakening makes you any more or less than what you were. And there's just the moment of awareness of it. Awareness is not creation. Awareness is not the beginning of it. Awareness is just where we step in to shine a light on something that we were functioning with but were unaware of before. So there's no higher levels of vibrations that one attains and achieves. There's just tuning the radio. We tune into those things, but we aren't generating a higher vibration. We're just in tuned. It's like you're flipping through the dial and you get these snippets of all of these different ways of being, and it sounds like country music, and it sounds like radio preachers, and it sounds like advertisements. And you go through all of these frequencies on the dial of life, and then you tune in to the one that you need to be at. There's one who is no less awakened into the frequency that they want to be tuned into than another. But sometimes you want to be on this other channel and you're not, because you keep thinking that maybe this doesn't fit here, this doesn't fit there. I would love to have my relationship with this person be a spiritual relationship. So it is. What are you doing to feed the spiritual relationship? And if you're not on the right camel ride and you're not working the right job, then change. But it's difficult. It takes practice. And that's what we're here to do. I think that it's as simple as flipping a switch. I really do. But we are in a darkened room that we don't know where we are, and we don't know where the switch is. So the practice is putting our hands out and feeling the wall. And we're just rubbing up against it. I think Hafiz is helping guide us in that way through humor. It's, what was it Wavy Gravy said? If you don't have a sense of humor about it, it's just not that funny. But I think that we know when we're on the wrong camel ride. It's just a matter of trusting that. And then it really is falling in love. It really is. Opening ourselves to be seen by ourselves. Blooming with the sun and the rain. The rain is so important. And it's so often the metaphor for our sorrow and our sadness. And that's okay. Because that feeds us too. You get some sun, you get some rain, you get a little bit of room to grow. What a garden you can become. Just breathing in through the nose. Relax the shoulders, straighten the spine as much as you can. It can help to add some tension to find some release. So if you're feeling a little stuck in your shoulders, bring those shoulder blades together in the back really hard, or bring the chest together really strongly. Wherever you're feeling the tension, really add the tension there. That level of active surrender to the tension might just be the release that you need. Bring that tension and then let it go. Finding a really comfortable place for your body to hold itself. Sitting in a chair with your feet flat to the ground, or your legs being crossed, or lying on your back, standing, leaning gently against something stable. Whatever it is you need to do right now, even slowly walking, listening to this with your headphones, waiting in line at the grocery store, just breathing in and falling in love. All right. I had another poem for today, but I like the light-hearted but stern nature of Hafiz, so I'm going to leave it at that. And uh, I'd like to hear your favorite poem today. So if you get the opportunity to leave a comment on this post, send us a link to your favorite poem, or maybe it's one that you've written that you can type out into the comments, whatever it is. Where have you found love and forgiveness or guidance or humor in a poem? It'd be helpful. I'd like to open this moment to the Sangha that's present. Is there anything that you would like to discuss today? Not today? Okay. Well, thanks for being here in person. And thanks for being here on the stream. I'll be back on Tuesday, most likely. I'll be traveling a bit tomorrow, and I will be unable to be here early in the morning on Monday. So see you next week. Hari Om. Give thanks to the Buddha, refuge in the Dharma, refuge in the Sangha.